Thanks for coming out today. Our team's really excited to get this season started. I'd love to build on the momentum from last year and got a great group of returning players that have been through a lot in the last several years. And we're just looking to continue to grow and hopefully move the program to another level. So we've got really big goals and a group that's pretty motivated. And we're senior heavy. We have 5 fifth years, 4 other seniors, so 9 seniors that have been through a lot in their time here. And as I look back on their careers, just from where they started and have continued to grow and accomplish more each year out. And so we're focused on the day-to-day to get better each day and see where we can take this thing. We do need to replace some key minutes from 2 players last year, 2 starters that we're going to have to work through some things to replace Taylor Runchie and her leadership at point guard position. And then Macy Harris, who in her 5-year career played some really, really meaningful minutes for us. And so, trying to figure out how we replace those minutes in production is kind of our focus here early on. And but it's a group that's very motivated. Leadership is awesome, about as good as you can imagine with all those seniors on our roster. So just looking forward to moving forward each day.
With the success that you had this previous season, going to the Final Four, deepest it's been, and going into the season now, what is that mentality that you hold alongside with your players as you enter into this new season, now ranked second in the country?
Yeah, we talked about the ranking yesterday, and all that is we've earned some people's respect, and our run last year, and then people know what we return on our roster. And beyond that, that's all that means. Our focus is to get better today, and that's the most important thing. We got a long way to go, and we're not close to where we need to be right now. We're really working through some things, and it's great, and our kids have earned that. We've earned that respect, but we really got to get in there and work to get better.
And also with the younger class now growing up, you have Donnelly, now a junior in that upperclassman. You also have the leadership of Murphy, Brittany Young. How have you really seen their leadership taking over even more now going into their final years?
Yeah, they're motivated, and I don't think their leadership's really changed. They've been in practice with me probably 400 times. So they know me as well as I know me, which is good. And they were great leaders last year, and they're trying to continue to do that. And it's about getting a group of people to make each other better. We're really talented individually, and we've got to continue to play for each other and make each other better. And we have high expectations. We're a program of accountability, and our kids hold each other accountable, and we're not afraid to do that, and I think that's why we've been pretty successful.
It's pretty remarkable number of 5th years. I mean, in football you see a lot of that, but they only have to extend their college career by a semester. But to have these women go to school for 2 extra semesters, what's that say about them and your program, that they want to be a part of it for a full school year?
Yeah, I mean, they're tight. They've grown up together. That group has pretty much lived together all 4 years, and now 5th year. And when you got something that's good, you don't want it to end. Mm-hmm. I think originally when they knew that the 5th year was a possibility, none of them even considered it. And then, we got into last year, and I think it started to set in that it's coming to an end. And, I think it was more of a group decision. that, hey, let's do this together. And you know, I think the experience they have is the biggest thing. They've had a great experience in 4 years, and you know, my pitch to them was, you've got your whole life to work. You know, you can work for 45 years or 44 years, your choice.
Yeah.
You know, and I think when you look at it that way, if you got one more year, why wouldn't you? And so this group, but they wouldn't do it if they hadn't had a good experience.
Does that put pressure on you, though, to make it worth it?
I've never thought of that. I don't feel any pressure at all. I think our motivation as a team is to get in there and be the best that we can be, and that's the hardest part of the whole thing, is to go in every day and get better. If we stay the same, we're probably in trouble. We've just got to continue to grow each day.
Another thing about fifth year, it's interesting to me as a Waverly Shell Rock, you know, seeing two of these girls never got to play with each other in high school, but they'll play with each other in college. It's kind of an interesting little note that you can do at the college level.
Yeah, you're talking Brenna and
Britt, yeah.
and Brittany, yeah, two Waverly kids. Yeah, it's unique. They're in certainly different stages of their life, and that's different to navigate. Yeah, we had a junior on campus that we're recruiting right now, and I told one of those fifth years that went to her school, I said, you know, she was in 7th grade when you were a senior in high school. And that, you know, that's pretty weird. Yeah, it's unique, but it's a pretty cool thing too.
You've obviously set a pretty high standard for yourself. You mentioned these fifth years. They've never had a year in their career where they didn't make the NCAA tournament. I'm not saying I know much, because I know I don't, but I've been around long enough that when it comes to the standard, this seems like it's a pretty well player-led program, with due respect to you and Kelly. Would you agree with that standard being set by the players and passing that down? Is that what happened? Is that what's happening here?
That's been going on for a long time here. We want to develop leaders in our program, and that's one of our main things for our staff that we want out of our players. We want them to grow as leaders and as people, and so that's an expectation that we have, that they are going to lead our group. And you know, I've talked to them a lot about, if someday I don't show up, can you still go on and function the way we need to function? And the answer is yes. So I'm not saying they don't need me, but if I'm not around, I think the things that need to get done are still going to get done.
How do you go about instilling that in your players?
Yeah, I think trust is something you build over time, and it takes time, but the trust and open, honest communication that we have as an entire group, I think, is really important in building that. And I think that we all know we're all vulnerable, and I'll be the first one to go in and say, hey, I screwed that up. But that's kind of what we do. If I screw something up or make a bad call, we still got to find a way to make it work. And these guys know that I trust them with anything, and I think that goes both ways. And really, it's about building trust in those both ways that you can develop that.
And it's not theory, really. I mean, a couple years ago with COVID, you had to miss a game. And so does that reinforce? And I think we never think about our vulnerabilities till it happens.
Yeah, I think, all the time, even if, it might not be missing, but maybe I'm off or don't have I'm not in a good place or not having a great day. And, I think you go down the line, and it's about picking each other up and playing for each other. And if I screw something up or a player screws up something, can we still survive? That's what it's all about. Just building that kind of trust that we're going to go out there and figure it out day by day, even if we're not at our best.
How have you gotten to that place as a head coach? Or how has that evolved throughout your coaching career?
I think you got to take yourself less seriously. Just understanding that there's a lot of ways to do it, and we've got to have a really good plan. And if the plan isn't working, then we still got to figure out a way to make it happen. Just being transparent and making sure that we don't take things too seriously individually, that we're going to trust each other to find ways to make it work.
I've seen both the Iowa freshmen that you guys have, Brennan and Emma. Are there any freshmen that you see that will be contributors this year, or with this many, upperclassmen and super seniors, so they just kind of have to wait?
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard. I'm not ruling it out, but it's going to be hard for a freshman to come in here and get many minutes this year. But that's kind of been the way it is around here. We had a couple last year that were in the rotation, but so we've got a good sophomore class too. There's a lot of people ahead of those guys, but they're learning every day, and we're seeing improvements. And I'm not going to rule anything out, because it happens. Sometimes a kid, starts to click, and we've got some good freshmen in there.
Coach, you on that conference meeting up next weekend. What are you looking to see for your team in our conference to prepare for what should be a pretty competitive ARC this year?
Yeah, I typically try to schedule games that are going to make us better, and our first weekend are against a couple teams that are going to be solid, well-coached teams that have some really good individual players that we're going to have to do a great job on the defensive end, and certainly want to get off to a good start. But we're going to hang our hat on defense early, and we know that got us through a lot of games last year. And until our offense gets clicking, we need to be able to win on the defensive end. So just getting ready defensively for the long haul has been the focus early on. But our non-conference is important, and we want to continue to grow through that. We've got teams that play different styles, and that's part of our scheduling, that we want to see teams that look different than each other. And I think that was key last year. And when we got into postseason, we saw a lot of different kind of teams that we were able to play any style. And we need to be prepared to do that again this year.
Talk about making it to the next level. Obviously, you've been in the Final Four multiple times. That's the next level for almost everybody else. What does it take to get to that next level? Is it just winning that game in a single elimination tournament, a little luck there? Obviously, that's part of it. But what is left?
Yeah, it's preparation every day. That stays the same. I think you got to get lucky a little bit. There's so much that can happen in a weekend, and you just got to prepare every single day, and then throw it all out there. And wherever we end, my hope is that we can look back and know that we did it the right way, and we didn't take any shortcuts. And whatever that gets us is going to be enough. We'd love to win the whole thing, and our players have talked about that. But you don't win the whole thing in October. You don't win the whole thing in November. You got to go day to day and continue to get better. And we're not going to talk a lot about that. We've got to improve today. We got to prepare for what's next, and then see where that takes us. But I don't want our players to miss out on what it takes every single day to maybe get a chance to go further.
Coach, how do you go about replacing the minutes of Runchie and Harris, and which players have earned the right to be the first ones to get those minutes?
Yeah, well, I think originally you got to look at Maggie Wilkins and Lauren Donnelly, who both got injured last year. Maggie in our second game of the year, and Maggie's a tremendous player that we missed a lot last year, and she's got an opportunity to fill a lot of those minutes. Maggie was released from her ACL injury, and she's full practice and getting better every day, and so we expect her to play a big role. Lauren Donnelly, we're hoping gets released soon and can get back on the practice floor. And so those two kids are experienced and have played some meaningful minutes for us. And if they're healthy, I think that they're gonna suck up some of those minutes. But we have some young kids that were in the rotation last year that are probably gonna get more. Lauren Gollinghorst came off the bench for us. Grace Hennessy came off the bench. Natalie Bierbauer came off the bench. Those guys are all a year better and will give us some minutes. Now they're different players. They're not point guards like Taylor Runchie. So, just figuring out how to function with different players on the floor is an early season focus.
Also with Maggie Wilkins, unfortunately having missed the previous season, I think we're all really excited to see her back on the court with her, pump head fake action. And what is her mentality going into the season? Having missed that, the drive just has to be there.
Yeah, she's excited to be back with us for sure. It's no fun to sit and watch, but I do think that year she was able to learn a lot from being on the bench and seeing it from a different view. And so we're excited about her progress, and she's still working into some things, but she'll be a key player for us.
As I don't need to tell you, you got some very intelligent young women on your team. I think your GPA last year was one of the tops in D3. 2 years ago, I think you were the top, if I'm not mistaken. How are these young women able to achieve so high, really in all facets, and how does the correlation between being involved in basketball and being high achievers academically, how does that connect?
Yeah, it's by design. We want to recruit the right kids, and we work hard to identify players that are serious about the classroom and that part of it. I do think that being a great student takes discipline and hard work, and all those things are important on the basketball floor too. But I also pride ourselves in balance, and we're not going to overdo it on the basketball side. We don't go over 2 hours ever. As we get into later in the year, we'll be on the practice floor an hour and 15 to an hour and a half, and that's enough. And I think that if you come in with a good plan and you're disciplined, and you don't need to take more than that, and still be prepared and do great things. And I'd rather our players want a little bit more than us wearing them out every day in practice, and that gives them time to be great students, but also be involved in a lot of other things on campus. And that's what, to me, Division III is all about. We want a well-rounded group of people, and but yeah, 3.8 something is pretty impressive.
With the 5 fifth-year players choosing to come back for one last go-around, what have they meant to the culture of the program?
Oh, they're everything. I think that when we bring recruits in and they can spend time with those guys and what they've been through, and it's a pretty easy sell. And we got great things here at Wartburg, but our players are the best thing about us. And that group's special. Their freshman year was COVID year, and we practiced for 2 months without playing a game, and then when we did play games where, it just wasn't normal, and for them to just get through that and then to accomplish a little bit more every single year is really special. And it wasn't a lot of fun going through it, but I think that has helped develop them into who they are today, and they certainly don't take things for granted. They've been through some really hard things that have made them better, but their ability to share their experience and what they've been through and how to do it and what it takes is invaluable to our younger kids.
Good luck this season.
Thank you.